Hey guys, my name's Jamie Sanders. I'm going to do a little instructional video today on how to grill a good steak. And the reason I think I can talk on this is just from experience. I've grilled a lot of steaks. I've learned a lot. I'm big on watching YouTube videos on how to do things. I'm big on reading articles. I'm a big fan of Pitmaster's Barbecue, the Barbecue Challenge, all that stuff. I love watching those shows. I record them all the time. So let's talk a little bit about what's important on steak. Throwing it on the fire is the easiest part, guys. That's not what makes a steak. What makes a steak is everything before and after. To start with, a good cut of meat. That's important. Now, you've got three types of meat. You've got prime, you've got choice, and you've got select. USDA prime is the best, USDA choice is next, and select is last. Normally, what you're going to find in your Harps or your Walmart or whatever store is going to be choice. USDA choice, you see that all the time. And it's not a bad cut at all. It's what I normally cook just because it's hard to find the other stuff unless you have an actual butcher shop or dedicated meat store around. It's just hard to find, and it is more expensive. Next thing you want to look at is your meat cut, your marbling, which that is how much fat is in the actual good part of the meat. And I'll show you this one as an example. This one looks pretty good. As you can see, you've got a lot of little white dots, a lot of little pieces of fat in there. Kind of think of that as a starry sky. If you look up at night, you want to see a lot of little stars, a lot of little spots. Some little jet streams from the planes wouldn't be bad. You don't want big clouds. Big clouds are too much fat, and then that makes for a really fatty steak. I would say anything larger than something the lead of a #2 pencil, and you know, anything much wider than that, you're really getting fat. So kind of pick around through the steaks and get one that looks the best. Next thing you want to think about is it's better to take your steaks, set them out for an hour to 2 hours to let them get to room temperature. The reason for this is if you come right out of the fridge with it or out of the freezer with it, your center is really cold. In that 5 or 10 minutes it takes you to prepare it and get it ready, your outside's gotten warmed up to room temp, but the inside is still really cold. So when you throw it on the grill, you're going to get a steak that's done on the outside and red on the inside. So set it out for 1 to 2 hours. And don't worry about, you know, bacteria building up or whatever. This is a solid cut, so the bacteria can't get down into it. This grill's at 600 degrees or so it's going to kill anything that might get in there. With small stuff, you can't do that with small cuts of meat and this, that, and the other. Next thing you want to do is season it up. And that's kind of to your own preference, whatever you guys like. A thing a lot of people do, and I do, is kosher salt. Make sure to use kosher. Do not try to season a steak with regular table salt. It will be so soft that you can't stand it. Now this stuff here is really big chunks. I don't know how well you can see it right there. This stuff is huge. And that's going to caramelize and create a real good texture on top of it. And then after that, just whatever seasonings you want to throw in. Or I like to, you know, this is Cavender's. This is actually made here local in Arkansas. It's a Greek seasoning. It's really good. For the moral mind, the wife doesn't like stuff to season up as much as I do. This is some Montreal steak. It's another real good seasoning. Throw a little bit of that on there. This is Montreal steak, Worcestershire pub, Worcestershire pub. It's got a little Worcestershire sauce in it, a little flavor to it, gives it a little bite, a little snap. Throw a little of that on there. Sweet and smoky. This stuff here is an awesome rub. Throw some of that on there as well. And like I said, just kind of whatever to your taste. This here's McClard's. This stuff here is really good. We'll put some on there. That stuff's awesome. We'll put some on there too. And or if you put too much, a lot of this is going to fall off in the grill. It's going to cook off. If this was afterwards, yeah, it would be way too seasoned, but it's not, so we're good. And then we want to flip it over and season the other side just as well. And then when we get that done, we'll talk about throwing it on the grill here just in a minute. Okay, guys, now we're back. Now we're going to talk about throwing the steaks on the grill ready to cook. I'm running a perfect 600 degrees. I don't know if you can see that thermometer right now, but that's just about perfect where you want it. This grill has got a sear station, so I crank that heat up. With the steak, you want to cook hot and fast most of the time. The reason is the longer you leave it on there, the more you're drying it out, the more that water's evaporating. So hot and fast is ready to cook a steak. You always want to have a good clean grill. The best way to do this is fire that sucker up well before you cook. Crank it to about 600. Most of that stuff will burn off, melt off, but what's left will just brush right off. I've got a brush that's really well. It's got a scraper on it. Something else I like is this little dilly I found online. It's got different cutouts for different type of grill grates to get the real stubborn stuff off. Give it a good scrubbing. After you use your brush, be sure to wipe it off with a paper towel. These brushes have been known to leave little pieces of metal laying on your grates. You don't want to get that in your food. Scrape it, clean it, get you a good clean grill. Next thing to do is throw your steaks on. Now me, every grill has hot spots. I know on this one, a little hotter towards the back. I'm gonna throw mine back there at about a 45-degree angle. Throw the wife's in front because it cooks a little slower in the front. She doesn't like hers as done as I do. And we're gonna throw them on there. We're gonna come back in about 3 minutes and we're gonna rotate them 45 degrees. Now what that's gonna do is that's gonna put them nice burn marks on it in a nice crosshatch pattern for that real pretty appearance everybody likes and loves. So for now, we'll go in, maybe enjoy a frosty beverage, and come back and check on these in just a couple minutes. Okay guys, we're back. It's been about 3 minutes. We're going to flip these things 45 degrees to get them sear marks right. Something you always want to do is be sure and use tongs on your steaks. You don't ever want to use a fork or a knife or anything that's going to poke a hole in them things. Anytime you do that, you just let it grease out. Alright, looking good. The important thing about flipping something else that helps is when you flip your steak and you turn it 45, try and set it down in a different place than where you picked it up from. That way you've got a fresh grate that's still good and hot and it's got that heat soak in it. It just helps make them burn marks a little bit nicer. Now we're going to give that about another 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll flip them. Okay, now we're back. We're going to flip the steaks. Like I said, we're going to use tongs. Don't ever use a fork or a knife or anything. It's going to poke over, let the grease out. Bad boy, flip her over. Oh yeah, looking good. Well, look at that. Good steak. I'm gonna throw them on there. Come back in about 3 minutes, give them a 45-degree turn. See if we can get them grill marks looking good. Smelling good. Be back in a minute. Alright guys, we're back and these steaks ought to be done. Meat thermometer. Can't say enough about this. If you want to cook a good steak, get your meat thermometer, stick that sucker in there. Oh yeah, 138, 140. This thing reads in 2 seconds. Wait, she's ready. They're ready to come off. I know you can kind of guess when you're cooking, but that's what you're doing. You're ballparking, you're guessing. Get your meat thermometer. You stick it in that sucker, and if you want it off at 158, you can pull it off at 158. It's just highly more accurate. I know there's ways to do it with your hands and such, and like I said, always use tongs. That way you're not putting any holes in the meat. Let your juices flow out. With the meat thermometer, if you like medium well, whatever, with the meat thermometer you're not guessing. You'll be the hero because you hit that steak perfect. So someone likes one medium rare or whatever, you want it off at 140, you can check it. And the prong on this is small enough. This is a Thermopin. A lot of people in contests use things that are awesome, reach in 2 seconds. A little bitty small probe that it doesn't lose any fluid when you poke it and such. And I know there's ways to do it with your hand. I've seen stuff online where this is rare, and then if you touch how hard that is, that's medium rare, and that's medium well, and then that's well done. And you're ballparking, you're getting close. But guys, if you're gonna cook a good steak, get your meat thermometer. And the next step we like on this is letting the steak rest. You want to let your steak set for around 10 minutes, at least 5 to 10 minutes. And the reason is when that thing's on that grill, all them juices in that thing are going up to the center of that steak. And if you cut into it right then, all them juices are just going to flow out. So it's supposed to rest for about 10 minutes. That lets them juices redistribute out into the steak. It makes for a lot juicier, tender steak. Now to recap, let's talk about the important stuff we talked about here. Selecting the right kind of meat, picking out a good steak, look for that marbling. Taking it out of the fridge, let it get to room temperature so that it's warm on the inside just like it is the outside. Season her up like you want it. Get your grill up to about 600. Remember, cook hot and fast. Get your meat thermometer. You can check your temperature as you go if you want. Flip your steak. You can turn it at 45. You know, if you want to get the double cross hatches going. What that does, it gives a nice little burnt area, and it's real crisp, real juicy, full of flavor. A lot of people really like that. And remember to let your steak rest when you get done. And that's it. Do that and you won't be disappointed. And you can kind of fine tune it to whatever you like. But this is how me and the wife like it, and they're awesome, and I'm going to go eat. Thanks.